started 22 years ago in partnership with the Laurelwood Garden Club. Every year they select up to 40 pieces of art that are on display in our galleries, and they are interpreted with floral arrangements. But this year, because our galleries are not open, we decided to broaden our interpretations, and we selected over 40 artworks that people could interpret with something floral, and the flowers could have been from their garden, or they could have been something they made out of paper or foil, but we will talk a little bit more about that later.
Well, Art in Bloom is historically one of the more popular events that the Fitchburg Art Museum puts on, and it's great for the community and for citizens to check out the wonderful works and the exhibits that all of these local artists put on. This year was no different, and I applaud the Fitchburg Art Museum for continuing on and moving on with the times and keeping the Art in Bloom going.
So I was actually really excited about this new kind of conception of Art in Bloom as online, because it allows us to sort of expand beyond the sort of physical capacity of the museum. And we have such an amazing, really diverse permanent collection that I was really excited that some of these works were getting their chance to shine in sort of new ways.
I just thought it was kind of fun to look through the collection myself, because there's a lot of things that I don't know that we have, and it was just kind of neat to see, to kind of look and realize, oh, we have a variety of stuff. And it was nice to see some of the favorites that I haven't seen in quite some time.
Art in Bloom is very important for us because it allows us to provide content to the family staying at home, and it provides interaction and family bonding and learning.
So I can just have fun with it. In the past, I've been a little intimidated by some of the beautiful works of the Garden Club members. It's more of a sort of a personal odyssey or a personal experience I'm having that just keeps me distracted, keeps me fun. And again, I feel like whatever I put in, it's gonna be okay. It's okay.
One of the pieces that I really liked was the one that with the belt and the little hyacinth pieces put into it. I liked the way the artist kind of deconstructed the hyacinth to take elements of the hyacinth and put it into a different context. I just thought that was really interesting visually.
Well, we realized that we're asking people to make art from things they might have around the house. And maybe they don't have access to the usual art supplies that they might have. So Rachel and I went searching the internet for great examples of how to make flowers from all different kinds of materials.
The ones that I really ended up enjoying more were different than in years past. For example, the interpretation of Joe Sandman's serpent that was simply an apple peel. I thought, wow, that is so cool. It was elegant, it was beautiful, the curve was beautiful, but yet it was so simple.
The thing that I was mostly impressed with while looking at the submissions was the sheer resourcefulness of each person. It was really interesting to see how each person interpreted even what a flower can be, using things around the house, around the yard. And I found that really inspiring.
We just wanted to make sure that all of our special exhibitions that are up right now got their chance to be included in the selections, but also from our various other permanent, sort of more permanent exhibitions like Discover Ancient Egypt and Invoking Eleanor, that they were also always included. And we also included objects from the permanent collection that are typically in storage. I hope people enjoy sort of getting these kind of, sneak peeks sort of behind the scenes of these objects that maybe necessarily don't always get the chance to be in our galleries, but we could sort of pull them out and highlight them in this really interesting way.
I'd love to see us pull out the work we have by Sally Curcio. It's all little beads that she's little straight pins and makes a little landscape or a little imaginary place. They're just so beautiful and sparkly. I can see them being easily interpreted in flowers.
And then also, I also loved Cults in a Storm. It's by Anna Hyatt Huntington. It's a pure white marble, but I think it would be really interesting to see how people would interpret that, because it's basically 3 colors.
So setting up the online landscape for Art in Bloom was definitely an exciting challenge, and one that involved collaborating with the entire staff. It started with posting the examples on our website, our e-newsletter, and on social media. I'm really overwhelmed by the great response from the community, and then formalizing those into an online art exhibition. It's been a great way to try new technologies and to talk to our visitors and people who are new to FAM in real time online.
Given that Art in Bloom is such a celebration of a community and so many different people contribute to that celebration each year, it was really important for us to find a way to be able to give back some of that celebratory experience to all of the different communities that contribute to the event. That includes the Material Girls Quilt Guild, who shows in our community gallery, the student art from Fitchburg Public Schools, and all of the amazing work that people bring into the galleries themselves. And this year, an extra special celebration for all of the people who wouldn't have normally been able to participate too. So the video actually presents a great way to be able to bring our celebration outward and to really celebrate what we can do right now.
Well, I think the Material Girls were thrilled to be able to access this virtual Art in Bloom. A lot of people had been making quilts for the event. It's personal. It's personal to a lot of us, makes us remember things. And it was lovely to see the flowers. I thought people were very, very creative.
This year's online Art in Bloom challenge was pertinent because it gave people an opportunity to cultivate their creativity and participate in a public event. I believe that this approach can evolve further. This challenge served as a prototype for how art could get incorporated into our lives year-round. If the Fitchburg Art Museum had quarterly online challenges, participants and their friends could increase their yearly exposure to art.
It's been neat to see some traditional arrangements in the mix of this year's entries, but I was especially tickled by the lack of vases, or when people made their own paper flowers or billowing sails out of paper towels. It's been freeing and fun to share in the experience of interpreting with family and friends this year. These photos and fond memories will be a reminder of the spring of 2020, where amid the lockdowns and isolation, we got into the wine early and often, went a little crazy, and made some badass masterpieces that would make anyone forget all about Corona.
One thing I definitely appreciate is that we can have multiple interpretations of one artwork. Being online, we've had 5 or 6 people interpret the same piece of art and using multiple materials. So I've really enjoyed seeing that too.
My immediate impression was it's far earthier than I expected. So I don't know if that's the time of year that we're in. It's spring. People are, because of COVID, having to spend more time outside. Maybe having a chance to think about nature a little more than we normally do in our really busy lives. But that was my immediate impression.
I really appreciated the ways that people looked at the art and then were able to take something from it. Some people really focused on color, other people focused on line or composition. So it was neat to see how different artists approached it.
We've also seen some really inventive uses of materials. I've been amazed at how creative people have been. There's everything from carrot sticks to cyanotype photography, and even quilting and seed packets. So people have really been inventive about what they're using and how they're using it.
because art comes out of everyone's need to express themselves. And when do you need to express yourself? You need to express yourself during times of war. People have something to say. During times of personal catastrophe, death, or romantic separation, or that always creates art. You know, you've got to express yourself to get it off your chest, and then you leave it. This is a really good time to say what you have to say, and art is the vehicle to do that. So it's definitely important to be doing this now.
We've actually had people participate from all over the country. Normally it is pretty limited to just our backyard and people who can be in Fitchburg, but we've had some participants from North Carolina, from California, from the Boston area, and it's reconnected us with some members who've moved away. So that's been a very good way to connect with our audience.
Having this exhibit, especially during the pandemic, I think really reminds us of how art and museums in general bring the community together. Celebrating it through an institution like a museum, I think, is just a wonderful thing.
I think it's nice to have an uplifting event that brings joy and color to people's life during this difficult time.
It's a great way for people to just be able to be creative, and those people that would normally come to Art in Bloom would, be able to participate in a different way.
It really brings the particular artwork to life with that personal expression that's so incredible, but it just really becomes an entity in an environment of personal expression and bringing that artwork, that connection, to life.
Now's the time to start fully realizing the importance of arts and the arts community. As you're sitting at home, start to learn about what's out there. Start taking virtual tours. Take a virtual tour of the Fitchburg Art Museum. The more you realize how important art is, the more you start to notice it around you, and the more it takes your mind off other things.
I think it actually allows people to visit the museum or the works of art at FAM or in our current exhibitions in a very different way. So it brings comfort on both sides, creating and then visiting to view it.
This kind of idea of taking Art in Bloom, this really great event online, really helps us think about other parts of the museum that we could take online or take further and engage different audiences.
It's so important right now for us to be creative, to keep on making. Sometimes we just need these projects and this direction in order to maintain our focus and our motivation with our art making. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever keeps us making is great. Thanks.
Hi everybody, I'm Nick Capasso. I'm the director of the Fitchburg Art Museum, and I'm thrilled that we're able to bring you Art in Bloom this year, even without the use of our galleries. This pandemic is a really terrible tragedy in so many ways, but it stimulated all of us to be creative in order to sustain the things that are good in our lives and in our communities, like Art in Bloom. While Art in Bloom online is not the same as Art in Bloom at FAM, it has opened up the festival to everyone and to every form of visual interpretation. We've received wonderful submissions from as far away as California that include traditional floral arrangements, as well as other natural materials, found objects, paintings, photographs, paper, quilts, embroidery, even pancakes, apple peels, and carrot sticks. So thank you and congratulations to all the interpreters. Thank you to our sponsors, who all enthusiastically stuck with us as we went virtual. Thanks to our Leeds Rose sponsor, Fitchburg State University, our Lily sponsors, Ashla Designs, Foster Insurance, and Spinelli CPA, and our advertisers, Applewild School, Idlewild Farms, Sage Home Collections, and Simons International. Thanks to our friends and collaborators at the Laurelwood Garden Club, who immediately embraced the idea of Art in Bloom online. Thanks to our community partners who helped to promote Art in Bloom, the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, Reimagine North of Maine, the Sentinel and Enterprise, the Worcester Telegram, WPKZ Radio, and the Chambers of Commerce of North Central Massachusetts and North Quabbin. Thanks to this year's Art in Bloom judges, Tamar Russell Brown of Sitka Creations, Jessica Clark of the Fitchburg Public Schools, David Genesi of the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce and Visit North Central Mass, and Julie Gray, an artist who's exhibiting in our After Spiritualism show. Thanks to our docents and staff, and our Art in Bloom staff committee, Charlie Cruz, Ann Dakota, Vanessa DeZorzi, Laura Howick, Rachel Kane, and Marjorie Rawl. And an extra special, enormous glowing thanks to FAM membership and events manager Jessie Olson, the queen of Art in Bloom. Jessie led this charge, advocated for virtual Art in Bloom, put all the pieces together, and saved our beloved annual community celebration and transition. And a final thanks to all of you for joining us. I hope to see you for Art in Bloom 2021, both in the FAM galleries and online.
In appreciation to our members and our community, we would all like to raise a glass and say cheers to Art in Bloom 2020 online. Cheers.
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 Art in Bloom.